it's a nightmare to be part of a system that has so much. I mean, every corporate structure is bureaucratic to a certain degree, but it's the reality of how large businesses function. I always have this quote I say is, I can tell when someone hasn't been physically punched in the face just by the way they act or carry themselves.
Sure.
But I also feel like I should...
Wait, so question, have I been punched in the face?
I feel like you have.
I haven't.
Really?
I say I want to, but I get very
No, you
scared.
have a certain, I don't know, a certain openness about you, but also like, I feel like you could hold down in a fight.
We'll
or
see.
am I totally wrong?
We'll
Would he
see.
get the
I like
shit
that you
beat
look
out
to
of
the
him?
team like I fight them.
Oh, he would get the shit beat out of him. Oh,
Luke, I would get hurt. Oh, he's shaking his head.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to answer the question, which that gives away your answer.
Well, I think I also can tell when someone hasn't been punched down occupationally. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's another type of, I think, sobering experience as a human, which is like the idea of working under a company structure, or as I was for many years, being a waiter, or
Everyone should do it at least once.
everyone should do something like that at least once. And I think that's one other, I think, like kind of unfortunate aspect of becoming something like a YouTuber or something, is that a lot of these kids are coming up without having an experience in which they are given restrictions or boundaries. So I think entitlement is a word that's thrown out a lot, but I think that is certainly an aspect of someone that without real life sort of presenting that aspect of yourself of entitlement in real life never goes well. Like, people can smell it off of you so quickly. It's fine if you're in a space where everyone loves you and praises you. Yeah. But, that I think is just unfortunately a harsh reality of the world, especially when it comes to businesses, to trying to like even do anything where you're trying to move up a ladder. That is when the weight of how, unfortunately, the real world works comes down on you. And that's when you have a lot of things where I think in some of like YouTube's defense and large companies, sometimes I think it's like, unfortunately, impossible problems that they're trying to appease everyone.
Oh, at that point?
Yeah. Because then you're just
crazy.
like, well, unfortunately, sometimes you have to be like, okay, I get it. This is something that you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah. I think I definitely, especially for YouTube, in the past, I was kind of swing my fists everywhere. And then as
Which
I
appreciated. Yeah. I think a lot of us appreciate that.
But at the same time, like, especially now, like I look at situations where kids directed content is going to get fucked over.
Yeah.
No one knows how hard YouTube fought for creators against the FTC.
Yeah.
But still, when January hits, a lot of the reactions, even though it is the FTC that's doing it, it's going to be fuck YouTube. You're throwing us under the bus. Whereas it's such a hard, I can't even imagine, like they got fined $170 million, which yes, for Google isn't that much. Yeah. But it's an impossible situation. But when you were talking about kind of being a server, I feel like, or having to be a part of like a smaller system, I think there's something of having to bear witness to someone treating you like shit or like nothing that I think trains you to know how to deal with people in the future, because you're obviously not going to want to inflict that on someone else. But also these like 14, 15-year-olds that are having instant success on TikTok, like I wouldn't wish it on fucking anyone. The reason that I still have what I have is I failed so many fucking times.
That's right. Yeah.
And I had nothing for a really long time. Right. And so to just kind of be thrust into or bred into success, I feel like is I'm not going to feel bad for someone, but it's going to be a really big problem. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, because I personally think that some of the best artists or entertainers are those who clearly are still wondering why they're there or how they got there.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than, I think, there's a few exceptions, which I think are like action stars or something, where clearly you got to be muscle, you got to work for those muscles, like The Rock. I'm
dedication.
like, I want confidence, but I think I want to see someone constantly experiencing this like existential crisis of, why am I here? What gave me the privilege to have this audience? And what am I actually contributing when I'm not off helping solve things with science, or even like building something with my hands? What am I doing with something now that's immediately accessible to everyone, which is a video platform? What am I contributing to society at large? What I'm even contributing to the one subscriber I have who really cares deeply about what I'm doing or what I'm going through. And I think that's something that keeps me up constantly, because that's the things that first drove me away from ever considering doing anything digital. And now it's the things that keep me in the digital sort of pool.
Sure.
Which is like, you then find that the impact you can have in these types of spaces is so monumental today, But I think it needs to still bear some weight of responsibility. And only that can be determined by the person putting out that content. And what you're hitting on, I think, is we are now in an age where I think young kids who are coming up are lacking some sort of like reproach or any sort of anything outside of the give and take, the reward of social media.
Sure.
To value what their work is.
Well, especially also because it's such an emotionally significant time, right? Just because a lot of whether it be something like my favorite kind of music, my favorite movies, shows, that's obviously affected the relationship that I had with friends and family, but also worth. Because at that time, right, I was going to school. I think since I was 15, I'm trying to remember, it's 14, 15. I just know that there was like special paperwork so I could work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
I always had some sort of job, and it kind of trains you up. And I really like getting your worth from social media at that age. I don't know what happens when you inevitably lose it. Like 90% of them will.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not, and it's such, I mean, it was something you touched on of not only the bullying, but you can see the numbers are the main source of value of this person's the most successful person at my school, right? On TikTok, make me more famous, or fuck this person, or it's really vicious at times.
Yeah. But then again, even hearing us now, I wonder if we took a step back from ourselves and we said, oh, are we just,
younger me would fucking love it.
Are we
younger me would fucking love it.
Are we like the old men on the porch with our rocking chairs saying
I
like
am.
what
You might not be. I am.
But you know, even at this point though, we are considered, I guess, more well-versed than the average 30-something-year-old in social media.
For this specific thing, yeah.
What if, to give, I guess, like Gen Zers more credit, what if this is like just a language that is now forever part of humanity, which is the commerce of social media? And maybe we as the first like harbingers of it, like had to deal a lot with the recourse of this valuation that's very abstract, but maybe their fluency in it is going to grow into something that is a little more maybe they'll have their own way of dealing with that by perfecting the language in certain aspects where it's not as like deeply ingrained with this idea of success or self-worth.
Sure.
Because I'm sure in the future social media will still be there. Maybe it's going to become, I hope in the next few generations it's going to become a war against AI or robots, because I'm so sad I'm missing that, because
that's what you're like.
Yeah, you know, and I know the best robots will be like East Asian looking, and I can like maybe pass because I'm very bad at human emotions. But no, I think I'm always such my own devil's advocate, which I think is a good place to be in my head, and think like, yeah, what maybe there are kids out there who are really just kind of, they're born into it. They're on their fucking iPhones at 3, and maybe their minds are just wired slightly differently. We're interesting because we're, I guess, like early cusp Gen Yers, like millennials, first millennials. So we grew up in the shift, so we had the dial up until now.
Sure.
So our whole mode is adaptability. This idea of like, how do I adapt? Like, this has to compute. I need to like change and shift, and everything is like, I think we feel the weight of needing to, I don't know, everything has to have the weight of revolution for us, because we constantly were evolving. And now that things I think have like more set rules with how the world is with this social currency online, I think Gen Z might have, I don't know, being born into something is so much easier.
That is interesting, that because they've been able to kind of witness what the downfalls, they get to see the successes and failures. Yeah, that is interesting. So maybe it is one of those things where we or me, I'm not giving enough credit. That said, I do still think that there's going to be some notable burnouts.
Yeah, I think for sure.